We got rats. We got bats on the podcast known as
Trapped Under Plastic, the podcast where lore is optional and the softcore is implied.
What is softcore lore?
I don't know if softcore means that like we're softcore into really the nitty-gritty of the games.
Yeah, I would say I'm into softcore lore, not hardcore lore.
Or it's some implied some sex thing.
You just read off Warhammer lore while you're making sweet love.
Yeah.
Anyway, Samarni is Calgar. That's fucked. All right, let's move on.
Power fisting.
Oh, no! Already demonetized, and we're not even a minute in yet.
Listen, we're just saving those the YouTube staff some time, right?
Yeah.
They can just we're only 10 seconds.
Yeah. We found it. We found the moment.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. So I am back to DMing Star Wars RPG. Dan did his little 3-episode arc, and I'm back in it. And I've had a lot of time to prepare for this next session. Dan, if you're listening, please skip maybe like just 10 minutes. A lot of spoilers. But basically, I played a character's name was Corvos, and Corvos did some sneaky shit that made them very suspicious. But what he did was actually really endearing. He left a bag of supplies in their ship so they can build lightsabers.
That's nice of him.
I know. And so I don't know how to like have the role for lightsabers be interesting and meaningful, because I want them all to have it. And so a role where you can't fail isn't very interesting. And so I thought I'll make them all roll, and whoever has the most success gets to pick from a bunch of lightsaber hilts first. And then they'll go in order, and then they'll pick whichever ones they want. And like this would be like kind of like their first lightsaber hilts to pick from. And so I went a little overboard. I found some picks of lightsabers, and then I like cut them out in my Cricut, and I backed them in like a thicker cardstock, so it could be like a bookmark. You know, it's kind of like a little bit of a thicker bookmark. But yes, I made some props.
But props, man, physical props are so good.
I know, yeah.
They're gonna love that.
I know. And then like the bag that has the lightsaber parts in it has a letter from the character that gave them to it, and it's just like written on the backside of an Imperial report that I wrote and ripped up. And if they read the info on the report, it will give them info about the planet they're going to.
Oh shit!
And so I'm trying, and like I put like a little Imperial logo and like notched the corner out, and did some fun things. So I've had more time to prepare for this first the beginning session of like a new pre-made campaign. That'll be about 3 sessions long, and I wanted to give them some visual like meat to work with.
Yeah,
you know?
and any of that kind of stuff, once they get the aha moment of the report thing, that's immediately like a really cool, satisfying moment.
I know.
And then you actually are aiding them in their decision making for that 3-session arc.
Yes.
Because you're kind of you're breadcrumbing information that helps them, instead of just sitting there and looking at you and listening and you know,
trying to figure out what to do. I hope it's not too obvious. You know, it's like sometimes when a movie is just like bashing you over the head with like its story, it's like it's like annoying. So I hope it's not like oh okay, you think we're children, but we'll see. You know, it's all a learning lesson.
From my experience, that it is much more wise to have the story be more obvious than more aloof.
Okay. All right.
Because it is so much more difficult for you to gather everything as a player that your DM brain knows and sees.
Yeah. I think just because of my advantage, I feel like, they're going to know everything that I know. And like, they definitely don't. So
yes, it is not as played out as watching a movie, that's for sure. And many times I think it is a pretty common thing where you're just kind of like, oh, you didn't get that? You didn't make that connection? You didn't think to go there? You didn't think to talk to them, whatever?
Yeah.
And what seems obvious to you is very much not obvious to them.
Yeah. So by the end of this little 3-session arc, they'll have a working crystal to put in their hilt they built at the beginning. They'll have a functioning lightsaber, and then we'll get into like some more high-level play with lightsabers where they're actually like carving fools in half and stuff like that.
It feels like the way it's supposed to go.
I know. You gotta end that way, right?
Yeah. Do you have like an ending in mind, or like how much longer this is gonna go, or do you're still open-ended on it?
Yeah. So I think once we finish with this one called Hidden Depths, we'll do some Jedi Knight level play, which I've heard is kind of broken, and so I think maybe we'll do 1 or 2 sessions of that, and then we're gonna end on some big boss, like a Sith Inquisitor. Sorry. a Jedi Inquisitor or a Sith Lord or something like that, where they can really like try to like I don't know, test their like new skills and weapons out on. And also, Dan, if you're not listening still, really skip this next part, okay? Really skip it. Also,
For real.
Britt is secretly in cahoots with the big boss at the end, and she is slowly turning to the dark side.
Oh
So
no!
it's gonna be Britt plus boss versus the rest of the 4 party, which I feel like is gonna be a great like very Star Wars-esque kind of thing, because you always see often as the bad guy being outnumbered but being more powerful against a bunch of kind of more beginner Jedi, and so it's gonna be very, very cool, I think, to try out.
Yeah, you have to have that that cinematic moment that you have played out where they get there. He talks before action starts. Then she slowly walks over.
Exactly.
And turns.
Yeah. And maybe turns on a red light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I think it's gonna be awesome.
That sounds like. I mean, I could give a fuck less about Star Wars, but I would totally play that. I would totally play that.
Yeah, and like she's been dropping hints. She's been being way too aggressive, way too inclined toward like hate and like killing people and stuff. But they're kind of all like that, so I don't think they're noticing.
Right?
They kind of all want to kill everything. But yeah, it's good. I'm hyped to be back in the DM seat though.
It's hype. Yeah, I just recently finished up my 3-session arc of Shadow Dark RPG.
Yes.
And that
How did it go?
It went really well. After the first session of them damn near getting party wiped and like dead for realsies, they played it a lot more intelligently. Like they learned their lesson. They were more strategic about how they approach things. They were more diplomatic. They didn't just attack everything, and they tried to get information from these different factions that they've built a bit of rapport with, and that helped them get a bunch of information to actually complete this dungeon, what their quest was, and they only explored about 60% of the dungeon.
Okay.
Because they realized how deadly and scary this place was.
Okay.
That they figured out where they needed to go. They figured out the secret key that they needed, which wasn't a key, in order to retrieve the fiery gemstone that the old Baron had eaten.
Oh no, dude.
Yeah, and so, but but like it's all totally like open ended. Of like we ended up in this nice package, but one of my players, Tony, is like they realized that the power of this demigod, who is actually a being in the dungeon that they didn't go fuck with.
Okay.
that power of the power source of that demigod, what brought him here and allows him to like slowly corrupt everything in the region, is from this fiery stone.
Okay.
And in order to
Inside the Baron?
yeah, they had to get it out of
Saw style?
the Baron's stomach. Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah. But Baron was dead. They found him in a crypt. That wasn't it was so,
Okay,
But
okay,
it was
so
not. It was not as easy as you
They
think.
weren't carving open some alive dude, maybe?
No.
Maybe the Baron was a little bit of a undead menace?
He was not undead. They were waiting for him to fucking come to life.
Okay, yeah.
But
bait and switch.
But like his corpse was like from the benefit of this god was basically rubbery, and they couldn't cut into him.
Okay.
And they tried to like jam their arms down his throat to try to get into some. Oh man.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, throat jamming checks were made. So they found the something that they made the connection of some weird situation they had earlier with this brackish weird water that made people throw up. And they gave it to him and he threw it up. But then
nice.
Yeah, the corpse threw it up. But then they had
what?
Yeah, then they had this fist-sized this red gemstone, and as they're leaving, the guy who had it in his pocket, the god who started talking to him. So as the credits are rolling, of like the session is over,
Yeah.
the guy's like, he realizes what power to give him, and he fucking swallows it, and then the screen turns to black. That was the end.
That was the end.
Yeah. So we could come back to that and whatever.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. It's so rules light. It's so like, it's just, you're so engaged in what's happening. And so I had so much fun. So
That's awesome.
now we're moving on to We're going to try D&D 2024 for the first time. So it's the new edition of 5th edition D&D.
5.5.
Yeah, I guess you'd call it 5.5.
Okay,
yeah,
I
it's
didn't
just
know if that
updated
was
rules.
because Curtis is getting into RPGs and he's been asking me to look for 5.5 stuff. So I didn't know if that was the same thing. Because I go to Half Price Books all the time, which has so many RPG books. There are so many
Really?
books. Yes, so many.
Ooh, that's a good place to waste hours and money.
Yeah, dude. There's fucking amazing Blu-rays and board games and books. But I found him the one that's like basically Harry Potter and the Magic of the Gathering. Sorry, in the D&D universe, which is, I forget what it's called. It's like some kind of academy or some kind of school.
Oh, yeah. I think Vince is running some offshoot of that kind of a game, which is cool.
So
Go to fucking wizard school, dude.
Exactly that. So I found that for like half the cost for 5.5, I think.
Yeah.
Also, I have more goodies related to RPGs. Hold on the fort for 10 seconds.
Okay. So, I'm not going to talk about RPGs while Scott's not here, because this is not an RPG podcast. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but it's more about miniatures and miniature painting. And we are going to get into that a lot in today's episode. We're getting knee-deep in Adepticon and all things miniatures related. But now he's back with books and cards. Oh, fuck. Dune?
So I've been getting into the Dune MMO as well. Just like looking at how the
MMO, dude? There's an MMO?
Sorry, there is actually, but I'm not referring to the MMO. But there is an MMO coming out into the RPG, and I was reading the rules and how characters are made, and like listen to like a little bit of a live play session to see how it sounds. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I wonder if I have someone in my contact email inboxes from Modiphius. You ever do this where you just type in at a company name?
Yeah.
And I did.
And you did?
And I was like, hey, like, I am into this game. I might play it in 6 months, and if I do, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna talk about it on the podcast maybe like 2 or 3 times, and then maybe it'll make it in a video. So I was super clear about like what benefits would happen if they were to send me goodies, and they were super down. So I got some cool dice sets. I got an Atreides set and an Arrakis set, just of D20s. I got some like asset cards for like various agents you might deal with, or like architect cards are like agreements or contracts or scenarios or things like that, just to help with role playing. But most importantly, I got the rule book, and I got it in the fancy House Carino edition.
Oh shit!
So I can't wait to crack into this and just read some fucking rules. I don't know why I love reading I don't know if I love reading rule books. There's something about it that I do enjoy, but I wouldn't like do it before going to bed or something like that.
Right? Yeah. It requires a part of your brain that absorbs, and it's active.
Yeah, it is active. So someday when I drive to Wisconsin, I'll crack into this. Excited to figure out what this is all about. I know you don't play as a character necessarily. No, you do. You play as a character, but you build a whole house, and so like you're operating on behalf of your house. So it's very cool.
Wow.
I don't know much more about it though.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
That's definitely worth. I mean, you got the sexy book now too, so yeah.
I know, dude.
That's the best part about reading rules, is the envisioning you have of how cool the thing is going to be when you play it based on the rules you're reading.
100%, yeah.
Or the character you're going to build, or the army that you're going to play and what they're going to look like and how they're going to play. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to shoot you off the board with all these guys.
Absolutely. And you were on Vince's show recently, and what was the topic? Painting armies?
Yeah, it was a hobby podcast. It was a hobby-focused episode on Warhammer Weekly, so you can check that out. It's live on his channel now, and we spent a bunch of time breaking down, like the key secret sauce, the things that we've learned in painting armies or in painting large projects in general. Armies are the major part of that, and how you go through that. What are the ways to get small victories and stuff?
Things like that, big projects.
Yeah, that was a big project. Technically, he's part of my army. We also did a little bit of slapsticky back and forth about we both painted Skaven, and he says his is finished, but his isn't finished. He's a liar.
Could you imagine playing with this thing? Is it the right base size? It probably
is. It is slightly smaller, so I would just put that on the base.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You should do that.
Yeah, I'm just pushing him up the board.
He's like a giant chess piece.
When they had the new points and rules update, I was really hoping that they made him like 3 times stronger and 3 times as many points, so then my army would technically be done. Yeah. But they did not. They did not. He's still pretty badass spellcaster and stuff, but
nice.
But yeah, so yeah, that was a lot of fun to go through that and talk about that. And it got me excited, and kind of leading into, when we're going to talk about the hobby updates of getting back from such a major project, and how do you like get back at the painting table, and how do you find small victories and that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. I got some more Preamble Ramble, but I think you do as well, or no? Or
I got one more thing, but why don't you got something?
I got something. So CMON's having some financial issues that are unrelated to the tariffs, as far as I'm aware, because they happened a while ago. And so I read a little bit of an article, so I'm slightly educated, but not totally. But basically, CMON was late to publish their financial reports. They are a publicly traded company, and they owe their investors financial reports at a regular cadence. It's part of the agreement. And so they were late to publish their stuff, and they cited two reasons. One, they're currently in the process of looking for a new financial employee, like one of the higher up ones. Their recent one quit for reasons that I don't know, or was let go. And also, they are trying to resolve a legal issue. So basically, they had a company that was going to invest money in them, and that money gets turned into shares, like a digital representation of value, as far as like, it's like CMON bucks on the stock market. And so then those stock markets can be sold to other consumers, and then like CMON can trade those stocks and make money and stuff. And they had an agreement all drafted out, and the company backed out at the last minute. And so they lost a bunch of value they thought they were going to get for a particular part of the year. And so they reported a massive loss. Actually, the first time I think CMON reported a loss in many years.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means, but that plus maybe the insane tariffs that are potentially getting imposed on China. CMON has 3 Kickstarter campaigns right now that are in the process of fulfillment. Either they're done being manufactured and are being shipped out, they're being manufactured, or like they're in process of pre-production and stuff like that. So I don't know. I've been in a couple board game groups on Facebook, and a lot of people are fucking
doom and gloom.
They're dooming. Yeah, they're very concerned about not just CMON, but many companies. A lot of companies have publicly said, like, hey, we can't ship to the U.S. anymore and stuff like that. But I don't think CMON is necessarily in that same boat for that same reason. But I think it's going to compound quite a bit. And I don't know. Just want to talk about some news.
Yeah, all of that cardboard and cards and paper, all of that. That's
the minis too, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible because it's ever changing, this shit with the tariffs. It's like one day it's completely different than the next day, and this, that, and the other. So it's like, it's hard to say anything for certain. But the last I saw was that with China, there are certain kind of categories that aren't hit by tariffs.
Yeah.
And technically, like kids' toys and kids' books and stuff fall in that.
Yeah.
Could you put miniatures in that umbrella?
Yes.
Try to slide that in. I mean, possibly, but I don't think they're going to get it with the with all the cardboard and paper and all that kind of stuff. So that's a concern. Well,
but don't quote me on that. Do your research. Read the article. We'll link it down below. I have it linked right here in our show notes. So our editor will put it in the description below. I am not someone who went to school for business or really understand how it works at all. And so I just read an article, but make sure you do it as well. Do your research.
Yes. So we'll it's clear as mud, all of the future of everything. And we just take it as it comes.
Yeah.
The last thing that I want to talk about in the preamble is I got back from Adepticon, which is what we're going to talk about. And I felt like I had been putting off so much stuff.
Yeah, same, bro. Same. I've been just kind of chilling a little bit.
I've been putting off so much. Well, to clarify, I was putting off so many things leading up to Adepticon.
Okay, yeah, right.
I was taking every bit of my time and energy into working on the Golden Demon project, as well as getting prepared for my painting class, and those two things, was basically most of what my time was focused on. And so, like, my studio was a hot fucking mess.
Yeah,
it was a giant disaster zone. So many administrative tasks and stuff that I was just like, I will get back to you in April. And so all those things have come to roost, and I went through and completely redid. I cleaned up. I went through all of my stuff in storage tubs, in cabinets, in drawers, or whatever. And I've got more to do, but I've gotten rid of so much shit. I I realized I kept like 2 storage tubs filled with empty boxes that miniature related products and products like hobby products came in. Like I had like 8 boxes that are the boxes that the airbrush came in. And like every box that Chimera paint came in, I kept all this shit. And I'm just like, why did I fucking do this? I'm like, well, in their defense, Chimera product, like their packaging is fucking sexy as hell. And it's amazing. So, I give myself a pass on that. I recycled all of that. I got rid of all of it. And I decided to reorganize. And also, more importantly, I went through and I redid all of my paint storage. I have this huge storage rack system that I got. I'm going to feature it in a video in the future. But it's from a company called What's in the Box. It's our buddy out of California, and it's all like CNC wood stuff. And I think I have a short video. Maybe I could.
I love CNC wood stuff.
It's like a 10-second video. I'll show it to you now, and then maybe Alex can put it on the screen. So it's a full 3 walls just wraps around flush all the way around, and on one side I can even go higher. I've got more of the racks and stuff, but and all of the individual rack sections where you put the paints in are according to brand. They even say the brand on the thing, and they're the right size holes specifically for those bottles and pots size.
Okay.
And so everything, and those racks don't require glue, so I could pop them out. The wall thing that's drilled into the wall will stay firm, and I could switch it out as my layout changes. But it feels so much nicer, and it gave me like 25% more room for maximizing the same square footage of paint storage.
Yeah,
so I can get more paints in now.
You just feel like you're in a little command center.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some comments about what you just said, because I've been having similar experiences. So I'm moving out of my current house to a different house, and in doing so, it's a great opportunity just to get rid of a bunch of stuff.
Yes.
Right? And so we're doing exactly that. We're like probably like calling like 20% of like all of our belongings just like flat.
Dude, it feels so good.
I know, especially when you sell some of it, like make some cash. Yeah, it feels great. And I'm probably gonna have to do that too when I move out of here. So be on the lookout for some kind of sale where like if you buy like $10 in the Miniac store, you get a free random thing. So I have a lot of things that I don't necessarily need that I want to go to a hobbyist who would like love to paint them or work with them. So be on the lookout for that. And then, shoot, what else were we talking about?
Paint storage.
Paint storage, yes. So I have that white rack that I've had forever, and I like it. I like it a lot. And I think the issue with this setup in this office is that if something is not on the wall or just visible, period, I will not use it.
Yes.
Unless it's like very valuable to me, I'll go and find it. But like, so I think I'm gonna adopt a similar idea to what you did, but just go like up and down.
Yeah.
And have basically like 10 of those shelves so that all the paint can be out. Because I don't even think I can use it all, but I want to try it and experiment with it and find things that I like and don't like about it, so I can have more of an informed opinion. Because unless I'm like really like mindful about it, I will not use that stuff in drawers, especially paint ranges.
I think it ties really. It kind of goes hand in hand with the kind of hobby that we're in that it's a very tangible, creative, visual medium, and so that means any source of inspiration, any source of tool that you are using to create is also like benefits from a visual connection to it.
Yeah.
If it's not there, I know I've had like stuff that I've really enjoyed using, whether it's enamels, whether it's tube paints, whether it's oil paints and stuff, that it's in a drawer and I physically never see it, and I don't even think about using it in a video or to work on a project. I'm just like, oh, it doesn't exist because I can't look around and see it.
You might even go and buy the same thing twice.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah, so have I. Yeah,
I've done that.
I have like 3 black oil paints, and it's I don't know, what am I doing?
What are you doing? Yeah, it kind of, I think that's a pretty good segue into what we painted, and I'm gonna leave the great horned rat here until the main topic. We're not gonna talk about him because we can talk about him when we talk about Adepticon and Golden Demon.
Perfect.
But a couple things that I painted, 2 different projects that I've been working on for 2 different videos, and one just dropped today. Well, the other one will also be out by the time we start, and the first one is an infinity figure. And this was they've released faction paint sets for Infinity, for JSA, and for Pan Oceania. I don't know if they're going to continue to releasing them. Through the video, I encourage them to do so. But one thing I realized in terms of like, oh, you just have so many paints on your walls. That means you use so many paints. The more that my paint collection has grown, the more I realize the value and the actually improvement that it gives me to my final product of my paint jobs of working in a more restrained color palette, a purposeful color palette. And so I may have, 500 paints on my walls, but I'm only going to use 8 paints on any given project. Most projects, they don't use that many colors. 8 paints plus a black and a white, give or take. Sometimes it's a bit more, sometimes it's less. But the point is, like, once you get into a project, having the restrictions or the constraint of not have to always look for where's that tan, or where's that which gray do I want to use? All that kind of stupid decision making that slows down the painting project time as a whole is not necessary. And that paint set is all right. So this paint set is 10 colors. That includes white and a black. So we'll take those out. So there's 8 colors in the paint set. There's also a neutral mid-tone gray.
Oh my God.
Why is that in there? Don't know. Okay, we're down to 7 colors. Okay, there are 3 skin tones. Half of the JSA models don't have skins.
Are they? Is it just Caucasian skin?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay.
There's like a deep skin, a mid-tone, and a bright.
Okay.
I was like, immediately get rid of the mid-tone, because you know how you make that mid-tone? The dark and the bright literally mixed the same color. But the light skin was a great
highlight
color. Yeah, I used it for a lot of different things. But then there's a kind of a dark, like a deep rusty red, great, and then a real punchy red, like that you see on there. And then then the 2 interesting colors is there's like a lighter bluish gray, and then there's this color they call Kuramasa fog, which is like a really cool foggy green, a little bit of blues in it.
Yeah.
And so just painting that model with that limited paint set and just like futzing with color mixing and that kind of thing, it was really satisfying. It was really fun. It felt like it went much quicker with the restriction, just having the paints on my palette and grabbing what worked. It didn't have to mix colors, but I did mix colors. But you could paint something in that faction without ever having to mix a color, which I think is probably why they went a little bit more specific on some things with the gray and with the mid-tone, skin tone. But
Perfect. Yeah, it looks cool. So how many JSA guys do you have painted now? Is it 2?
I think 4.
4? Dang, dude. You're getting close to having maybe a finish.
I know.
I don't know how much is in an Infinity squad.
I think somewhere between like 5 and 8. But yeah, and the thing I realized too was like I could paint with that paint set in this is very much like a sketchy line style where there's next to no blending, and I could knock out a figure every single evening in that style for this faction, and it was like I could get that done really quickly. So
nice.
They're pretty cool. I just love this dude. He's so fucking cool looking.
Yeah, he's definitely
Space samurai.
Exactly. Yeah, he's like the quintessential space samurai.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. I painted some Vargheists for my Soulblight Gravelord Spearhead Force. That's actually a couple reasons why I did the Vargheists. One, they are a kind of model that I'm generally not very good at painting, kind of more of a beast or animal style character. And also, there was a quarterly challenge for the first quarter of 2025 in my Discord of painting a vampire. And I'm going to participate in all of these challenges now with a video at the end of the quarter that shows off everyone in my Discord who did it. And so 3 reasons to do them. But yeah, I didn't really enjoy the process a ton. I kind of just felt like they weren't very special. And I'm discovering about when it comes to my kind of painting, I get a lot of satisfaction out of having a unique take on something, And these just feel like they could have been in the back of a box and how these are normally painted. Red wings, saturated skin tone because they're kind of dead, and black fur, And admittedly, I didn't put that much effort into them because I was trying to take a lot of the lessons that I learned from painting my Dark Eldar Force and apply them to my Soulblight Force. I think if I could give myself some feedback, I think the skin, especially around the face and the shoulders and the upper like pectoral parts, that they need brighter highlights. They need some more contrast there. could be more interesting. But everywhere else is probably fine, honestly, for the model. Maybe some more highlights on the fur itself, or more interesting fur. It's just the undercoat of the skin with that blue and that Caucasian sandalwood color, and then a black contrast paint. That's literally it.
Yeah, I would say that some kind of an interesting color fade on the furs. Like as it gets towards the tip, maybe it goes to more of a rusty brown to a real pale kind of off-white to add some color interest there. But
Yeah.
I can tell you too, because I painted these same things for my Night Lord army. I didn't particularly enjoy painting them either.
Why is that?
I think it's because they're really basic. And they have so much room for you to get creative and to do some gnarly stuff with them.
Yeah.
But that requires a much heavier lift and more investment. And if you're painting them for an army and don't want to do that,
Yeah.
they're kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I also hate painting wings.
Yeah. I didn't try too hard on the wings. Well, I did actually put more effort into the wings than probably most of the model, other than the skin. But yeah, wings are not like something that I necessarily look forward to either. Yeah, I think you're right. A lot of open surface area to interpret, and that's honestly my biggest problem with painting animal stuff is that it kind of always feels like that, unless you're painting some kind of like anthropomorphic thing where it's like an animal wearing like a suit of armor.
Yeah, you have a nice color fade to the dark blues at the
I do
appendages.
like that progression, but when it's all over a model, it's a little bit less captivating. And I try to do some like. All three models have a different take on like how to do like stripes or animal markings on their shins and calves, and they're all like sub 1 minute attempts just to see if there's like a simple thing you could do. I don't know. This one's definitely the best in terms of like the animal markings, and some of them are just like.
I did not add the extra wings on the leader dude.
Oh no, there's always funny things you discover when you actually sit down to hobby with the kit, and that was one of those things. I was like, oh, leader boy's got wings on wings. I was like, I kind of like that actually.
Also, those little wings are beautiful bits for making a vampire wing out of it.
There you go. Holy shit, you're right. I didn't think about that.
I used it to kit bash my own vampire lord back in the day because I'm like, oh man, I'm not gonna waste these wings as extra wings. I'm gonna give a boy a wings who doesn't have a wings. Oh yeah, I liked it almost like tiger stripes on his lower legs.
Something like that, yeah. But I had a better idea that I didn't do yet. These are like beasts, right? And you know what vampires would do to beasts? They'd fucking brand them.
Oh.
So I have a logo for my Soul Blight. It's a sword with wings that comes out of it, and I'll do a simplified version of a brand on them. It's like kind of like bleeding a little bit, and I think that is gets me hyped a little bit, you know. And so I'm always hunting for ideas like that, the ideas that get me excited to paint something. And that's really what kind of is like the fuel to go through a paint job, seeing that cool idea come to life.
And they have a nice big open surface on their pecs or on their top of their thighs too.
Oh yeah.
Either or.
Yeah, you can do something there for sure.
Right. I thought you were gonna say that they were gonna have like bite marks in their neck, and they were like, oh, they're also blood bags.
Oh, that's cool too.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, these are big meaty blood bags.
There were some good tips for how to get excited about painting a thing you're not excited about. My particular favorite one was if you don't like the model that the company provides for that unit, go find a 3D printed proxy. I don't know why I don't think about that, but these could just be giant vampire golems, you know? They don't need to be these winged people. It could just be a thing that's kind of like inspired by a big, strong vampire thing. You know?
That's
so,
a cool idea.
I don't know.
Yeah, like what is its purpose? You know,
Exactly.
You know, what is its size? What is it? What appeals to you in the greater scheme of your army? Like what role do these play?
Like my Grave Guard are vampire infantry. They're not skeleton, but you know, it's a similar thing, you know?
Yeah.
So something that I don't know why I just forget to do that, but that is definitely a great suggestion. Make it interesting for you by just changing the character, but keeping the spirit of it.
That's a good idea. I should do that more too. Last thing I painted was a couple of models for Trench Crusade, and these are 3D printed. I printed them with the new 3D printer at home, and there's so much I love about the official Trench Crusade models. Not necessarily every one of them. Some of their big monsters, they're kind of mutated things I really like. Some I really don't like, but like specifically any of the stuff in their new Antioch force is very cool. I just think that they have the model design down really, really well for not over detailing things and having the details be crisp. It's like they know the exact curvature of a hard edge that works the same way that like GW plastic does. And I don't know how to describe it other than like they're hard edges, but they're not razor sharp.
Yeah.
Because GWs aren't razor sharp.
Yeah.
But there's just the faintest tiny amount of curvature to hard, crisp surfaces that make them really readable, still really crisp and fun and easy to paint without being like pure right angles on everything.
Yeah. So my Ultracraft video is called "What Makes a Model Perfect," and it talks about model design. And there's a small section about that exactly, having a round over on edges because it allows you. I think you can push your brush harder to get a thicker line and touch it more like softly and get a thinner line. So it allows you to kind of express a blend on the edge itself, whereas if it's razor sharp, all you get is that razor sharp edge, right?
Yes.
I don't know, but something else too about it that makes it less enjoyable to paint. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah, enjoyable to paint, and like it like doesn't read as clearly at like the arm's length.
It's like too sharp, you know. It's like if you scaled it down, it wouldn't look like that. Maybe something like that. I'm not sure.
I don't know the exact secret sauce, but I know that I'm just grateful that more people are figuring it out.
Yeah.
But I think some of the guys that make this game have a history with Games Workshop.
Undoubtedly, yeah. That seems to be the thing in the industry.
So they know. And that's part of my homework before this video comes out is to do more digging on Crunch Crusade and figure some of that out. Not lore. Fuck you. Yeah. Not lore.
Softcore lore.
I do like the alternate history aspect of it. Like the elevator pitch of what this game is very easy to grasp.
Yeah. I mean, the moment someone said the word artillery witch to me, I was fully on board. Yeah. I'm like, okay, I get it immediately, you know? And like that kind of, when you can get the vibe of a game just from the name of a unit, I think that's really successful branding. But also, you're right. This company and the sculptors in this company, they pass a threshold, right? Enough of the models are cool looking for me to consider the whole game, you know? Yep. Where it's like other systems are like, okay, I'd paint that thing, but it's like the whole faction is not really interesting to me. These guys pass some level where it's like, okay, I'm into an entire faction's worth of models.
Bro, you can get a sniper priest, bro?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite models that I've seen in their range. He's just a old happy friar that happens to fucking headshot bros from a distance.
And I gotta say, and I always say it, but I think you are really refining your fast NMM. Like the picture you sent of that was chef's kiss. It was like, okay, I know you didn't spend a lot of time on that, but it is incredibly effective. It looks so good.
And fucking with different like weird reflection colors and different like there's a weird mossy green in there. There's using reds and rusts and stuff because the biggest thing is like even dulled or beat up metal like this will have a reflection to it. You want that primary one to be really striking, even if it's scratchy like this. But then like you have to build out the 3 dimensions of the shapes, and that's something that I'm continuing to explore and trying to get better at to understand how light and surfaces work. And this was a great fun model to do it on. I fucking love that big evil knight dude.
Yeah,
his pose specifically. I printed off all 3 versions. There's a axe and shield one. There's a big fucking like looks like he's got a 50 cal Gatling cannon. That one's badass too. But this dude with just imposing axe. Come on now.
I can't imagine a Gatling gun that shoots 50 caliber bullets. I shot 50 caliber bullet and it like almost took my arm off. Like
this dude is like a 12-foot tall animated suit of armor.
Oh no, he's stronger than me for sure.
he's probably fine.
Yeah.
He's probably fine. Yeah. But in the deep dark trenches, there are some scary things in there. Well, that is what we painted. That's our hobby. You know, this is actually the first time. And I'm kind of almost ashamed to say this, or like almost because I'm so dumb. Because sometimes I have a week where I don't have a video, and I put that into like working hard on one project for a full week. And this week, I kind of spaced it up, and I did all the painting for both of my upcoming videos in that 1 week. And I'm like, why don't I do this more often? I don't stress myself out of having, to really get things down in a short week and get as much painting as I want and not feel like I'm rushing it or not feel like I'm not really investigating a thing that will be valuable in the video. And so I felt really good about that. I could have probably even knocked out more Trench Crusade models in that time, but I was also putting up paint racks and shit. So.
And recycling boxes.
So many boxes I went through.
So your little brief mention of like workflow reminded me that there was one more Preamble Ramble item that I had. I was a guest on a podcast, the Side Quests podcast, which is done by Ollie and Benji, Broadsword Wargaming and
Broadsword?
Yes, Broadsword. Well, not the Broadsword guy, but yes, Broadsword Wargaming and Benji's hobbies. They had me on, and we chatted about. They have another similar segment where they talk about like what you hobbied on, and the main topic was about YouTube, because they're both a little disenfranchised with the platform and like have feelings of like I don't know what works and like what my audience wants from me and stuff like that. And so we just talked about that kind of stuff. Yeah, check them out. I'll have a link down in the description below.
Secret sauce time.
Yeah.
Over at the Side Quest.
Mm-hmm.
Side Quest. Interesting. That name feels less miniature wargaming.
Why is that?
Because Side Quests I associate with video games and with tabletop RPGs.
Okay.
Do you get Side Quests and Warhammer?
I guess
Side Quest is kill that asshole over there. Make your own.
It's just like a fantasy thing, so I think it's cool. But maybe it does imply like this is not our main thing. This is our side job.
Oh, I get it. It's a play on words.
I don't know.
Ollie and Benji, these guys are so smart. They're smart Brits over there.
They are.
Yeah. And they're also too just nice dudes.
Absolutely.
So yeah, if you're looking for something else to listen to, it's hobby related, maybe go check out Side Quests. There's not a lot of, hobby podcasts out there. No. So make sure you support and listen to if after this one, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Listen to this one 3 times and then you can go listen.
Never leave. All right. Are we getting into the main topic?
Sure.
Let's do it. Let's talk about Adepticon 2025. So much new stuff to talk about in this new location.
I wrote down some bullet points here of categories because I am not very organized once we start talking. So if we have it organized written down. The first one is the new location. So the new location is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, as opposed to Schaumburg, Illinois. And people are like, Chicago. It's not in Chicago. There's like 47 interstates that all intersect, and you got to take the right exit, and there you are.
Oh, the pretzel? You're referring to the pretzel?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. The Milwaukee pretzel. Notorious.
Yeah, so that is where Schaumburg was. But now, this is in near downtown Milwaukee.
Okay, I was confusing something. Never mind. Okay, yes.
And it is near the heart of the city. You're
it is.
A stone's throw from where the Milwaukee Bucks play.
Yeah.
This game. They had AEW wrestling that was going to happen the following night. All the semis came up with the wrestlers' pictures on the side.
I saw some European people. They went to a basketball game, and I was like, yes, dude.
Yeah, Zaba went to a game. I talked to him about it afterwards. A lot of those Eastern Europeans are big basketball fans, which makes sense. Some of the best players in the NBA these days are from their neck of the woods.
Yeah, that's true.
So, that's pretty cool. But there's amazing spots to eat, whether quick, whether it's pub food, whether it's not actual pubs. This is the United States. Bars.
Actually,
taverns.
yeah, the Wisconsin has the highest what is it, bar, did they say per capita? So it's like per resident in the state, there is the most bars in
the ratio is high.
Very high ratio.
Also has the highest bar to church ratio too.
Oh, great.
In the United States.
They have a lot of bars is what we're trying to say right now.
Yeah, and a lot of them had good food. We went to a place, Sam, Ginger Jesus, Vincey V, who else? I'm going to blank on his name. The wonderful Frenchman that he won best.
Oh, yeah.
He won gold in 40K single. I'm so sorry that I'm forgetting your name off the top of my head. But we all went to this hole-in-the-wall tavern for lunch, and it was like pitch dark in there. And it was a brat place.
Yes.
And so we had brats and cheese curds, and it was Tebow.
Oh, yeah.
And Tebow hadn't had cheese curds before. Fuck yeah, dude. I made him a red-blooded American by the end of that.
You're just poisoning
He had
the poor man.
he had a fucking spotted cow, and he had cheese curds, bud.
Nice.
Welcome to Wisconsin. And so I was like, this is real cheese, not your French cheese.
Did you tell him that?
Yeah,
Oh,
he's a pretty good lighthearted guy. So we had a blast there. There's a variety of sausages. We got a sausage platter for us as an appetizer. Only in Wisconsin you get fucking brat platter where it's just a bunch of sausages. There's so many great German restaurants. We went to a fancy German restaurant a different night, and they were wearing fucking lederhosen and shit.
Did you get Spätzle?
No, I had a pork shank
Ooh.
with Spätzle and
So you did get Spätzle.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's a side. And a cabbage and sauerkraut. Bro,
Classic.
we got so much we got cabbage on cabbage. You have one side of cabbage, we give you another side of cabbage with your cabbage.
Dude.
I farted so much. Dude, that night Ginger Jesus, I both smoked him out of the room. It was great. Yeah, so that was it was a high-end place, sit down, wearing lederhosen, it was really, really nice.
So which place has a better eating experience?
Milwaukee, and it's not even close.
Wow. Okay.
You could walk a block and a half in any direction from the convention hall. Granted, the convention hall is huge. It's like a giant city block.
It is. It reminded me a lot of PAX Unplugged because it spans multiple blocks. It's like one block wide, and then it's like multiple blocks long, and like multiple levels as well, which is very similar to the Philadelphia Convention Center as well.
Okay, So you're a block and a half from something called 3rd Street Market, which is a giant, I guess you'd call it a food court, but it was much nicer than a food court. It was all these awesome, unique restaurant stalls and places that had all sorts of wild, different kinds of foods.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was amazing.
I love this.
We had the GW creator event was there. We got to play some cornhole.
Oh.
Yeah, and we got to I walked around find something to eat. There's actually a hotel attached to that some people stayed at. That it's you're a block and a half from the convention center, but you're right there with food. And I'm like, man, that might be the place to go.
Okay.
And it's not as busy. You have to walk outside, but again, a block and a half. But yes, just being able to step outside and get so many more options for food. Also, because the place was so much bigger, they had food stalls, food trucks. So restaurants that had food trucks, but they set up food stalls in the convention center. And so there was a place that did stir fry. There was a sushi place. There was a barbecue place. So the lines weren't crazy at all times, but they were usually pretty busy. But it looked like you could get through and you'd actually get better food than just concessions food.
Okay.
That said, I also bought a soft pretzel from the concession stand. I have soft pretzels 3 times when I was there.
3 times?
I had soft pretzels.
Same
3
place
times.
all 3 times?
Different place.
Okay.
I had soft pretzel.
A little soft pretzel ranking?
I had soft pretzel at one German bar. Emily and I shared a soft pretzel the size of a giant pumpkin at the fancy German restaurant.
Dang, dude.
Because she was like, I don't really want a whole meal. I'm just going to get appetizers. And I'm like, I like the cut of your jib. She's like, I don't think I can eat this giant pretzel. It takes up the whole table. I'm like, I will help you with that. That was the best soft pretzel I've ever had in my life.
Ooh, okay.
That thing was glorious. And also the cheese, the cheese and the stone ground mustard. First of all, they were in cereal bowl size bowls for dipping in because that's how big the pretzel was.
I love it.
It was the best mustard I had ever had in my life.
I love it.
The cheese was glorious and the pretzel, amazing. I told you that story to tell you this one. I later got a soft pretzel at the concession stand because I had soft pretzels on my mind at this point. And so Saturday, it was but I actually didn't have time to eat supper before the podcast. And that can be a no bueno for Johnny. So I'm like, fuck, I got to do something. I'm going to grab something at this concession stand because I know between this concession stand and the other side of the vendor hall, there's a chance I get stopped and I get low sugar and I don't want to deal with that. So I'm just going to grab the soft pretzel now. And that was a legit good soft pretzel. It wasn't Aunt Annie's good. but it was much better than the concession food. And then talking to Don Haney, he was having chicky tendies and French fries, and I went over and I'm like, "Hey, buddy, you're eating. I'm gonna eat. Let's chat and eat." And he's like, "These chicken tenders are way better than the ones in Schaumburg,
The concession
stand." ones."
Okay.
And so, on the food count, like, new Adepticon has already pummeled old Adepticon
Okay.
out of the water. And the prices were either slightly less or the same as they were in Adepticon. You know, they get you trapped in some place so they can gouge the prices.
Yeah.
It feels like they understand where they're at, and that people can just go wherever the fuck they want, so they don't over gouge there.
Okay. Not too much gouging going on. Did Jason bring you to a steakhouse?
No, I did not eat with Jason
No steakhouse.
the whole time. I was pretty sad about that. I mean, I got to chat with him a couple times. Vince and I hung out in the Pro Krill booth and we painted for a couple hours, and that was a ton of fun. So I got to talk to Jason there. And I ran into him one other time, but like, I was nonstop busy, and seemed like he was nonstop busy, and we just didn't connect.
Sure.
I think
Sure.
or I eat too much steak and he can't afford it anymore. That's impossible. That's possible. So yeah, that's my quick food critique. But let's talk about the location. So, had you been to this convention center before? This is kind of your neck of the woods where you grew up.
I've never been to the convention center, but the market that's around in that whole area, I've been in multiple times. So
Okay.
I know the area, but first time being in the convention center.
What did you think with it was technically 5 floors, but they only use 4 of them.
I mean, the little bit that I saw, I liked. It reminded me a lot of PAX Unplugged, and it felt like an upgrade. Like a really good upgrade, like not a side grade. Like they really did their research and found a location that would accommodate them for hopefully a couple of years. And it felt like everything was super nice and clean and fresh. Not that Schaumburg wasn't bad, but this just felt like an elevated version of that.
Yes.
And so yeah, I really liked it.
I on Wednesday evening, we got the gang together, just some, rascallions, Wednesday evening, kind of before everything kicks off, and we just kind of like it's still quiet and not that many people there yet, and we just took our own self-guided tour of the place. Walked around, found out where my classroom was, found out my painting light in my classroom wasn't working. I let somebody know, and they're like, "Yes, we already know. We're gonna fix it." I'm like, "Thank you." Checked out where the new Fort Wapple was, which is a giant painting area, and holy shit, it's huge. Nice. It's like 3 times bigger. All tables, 2 massive rows of tables with fancy lights set up on all of them. Nice. Just a bunch more open area. Checked out where the vendor hall room was. Checked out where the GW event was going to be, where Top Live was going to be. We just did a lay of the land, a walkabout, right? And in that, I ran into one of the founders and the runners of Adepticon, and I'm blanking on which one he is, so I don't want to say the wrong name.
Okay.
Or I don't want to get him in trouble if I talk about his stuff right now. But he said that that there was a lot of hesitation because they, change is difficult, and they thought they could make it work with Schaumburg, and it was quickly realizing with the growth of everything that was not possible. But he was so happy with, before everything kicked off, he was really happy with how it was looking. He's like, we still have room to grow in here.
Yeah.
He's like, we outgrow this. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Did he have black, like salt and pepper hair and glasses?
Yes.
And, yeah, that's Matthias Weeks, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Matthias. Yes. So and he was, you could tell he was stressed to the nines, but I was also like, dude, I'm like, all right, the ship's left the port, my friend.
Yeah.
I'm like, you should take a breath and be proud or whatever. And he's like, yeah, that's a good point, man. He's like, that's a good point. Yeah. He's like, it's going to be, everything's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And it was fine. There was not major hiccups from my experience. The big thing from the location that I found was that because it was multiple floors, you got to find and understand where areas of more congestion were, and you could just avoid them. You could just take an escalator up to an area and then walk all the way over to where you needed to go, take the escalator back down, and then be there.
Nice.
Any area where there was more congestion and just felt like there was too many people in Adepticons of old didn't feel that way this year. And in fact, they've had more people than ever this year, but it didn't feel sparse. It didn't feel like there was not that many people there. It definitely felt like there was a ton of people there, but you just had your personal bubble at all times. Like you were never shoulder to shoulder, other than if you were like in the vendor hall and like, crunched up to go check out stuff at a booth. That would happen.
Yeah. So did you get a sense for like how the various levels were like organized? Was there like a certain kind of thing going on level 1, level 2, and level 3?
Good point. Okay, so level 1, the main thing at level 1, and I'm only speaking through my perspective of what I found was valuable. Level 1, there was all the, like the painting classrooms.
Okay.
A hobby and event classrooms. And there was, I believe there was some big rooms for big events going on. Yes, there was in level 1. But there's also the hobby hangout area. Level 2 is where Golden Demon was on one side. It was kind of a lot of more open walking areas and some, that's where a bunch of the food tents were on the second floor. And the massive gaming halls for like the 40K and the Age of Sigmar tournaments, the giant rooms were there. I believe, and I could be getting some of these floors mixed up, 2 and 3 specifically kind of blur together me. Level 3, I believe, was the massive vendor hall plus another huge open area where like 40K teams tournaments and stuff happened.
Okay.
Kind of like if you remember in Schaumburg where that was the same way. It was off to the side. It was that.
Yeah.
And then level 4 was the grand hall where they had like the GW event, Top Live was. They had some other reveal events that were going on there.
Were there hallway vendors on all floors? Or was it just on a certain floor?
A couple floors. I think 2 and 3 had a hallway vendors.
Okay. Whatever one we were doing Top Live on, the one below that had vendors because I was like chatting with them and stuff.
Yeah, because I think that's because that was outside where the vendor halls were, because that's where like Michigan Toy Soldier was out there. That Bear Cavalry who we met was out there. There was there's like a weird like cosplay. Did you see the weird cosplay vendor?
I did not.
They had like weird.
Oh no, I did see that. I thought it was lingerie.
Yeah, there was some scantily stuff.
Yeah, there
was also like fucking helmets that looked like the characters from Halo. I mean, there's some weird biker jackets.
Yeah,
but not like Harley Davidson biker jackets, but like Japanese, like mafia biker jackets.
Yakuza?
Yeah, Yakuza jackets. I was like, I kind of want to buy one of those. That would be sweet. So I kind of stopped there and looked around a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't buy anything, but
yeah, I don't know what the bra and like underwear was. Is this like some scantily clad like warrior woman outfit or something? Like there was multiple sets. Like I walked by and I was like, "There's lingerie at Adepticon," and then I like saw like a helmet and I was like, "Oh, okay.
It's not lingerie if you're wearing a helmet."
Suddenly it transforms.
Yeah. Beep, boop, boop, beep. Yeah, you gotta be careful what that's transforming into. I don't know, but yeah. But it was really cool that there was like, it seemed like there's more variety, little incrementation, but little more variety in the kinds of vendors and in interesting things. Where historically has been very pigeonholed of models, hobby device companies and hobby like paint companies. It's like you're in one of those 3, and now it's a little bit more well-rounded, but it did not take very long. I think it took me like 2 days and I was like, I feel like I'm 80% know where the things are that I want to know, there was also security everywhere. So every entrance to the building and then every one of the kind of the skyway walks that went from the adjoining hotels. There was a skyway walk across, and there was security. We had to go through metal detectors, and then they would look at your bags and stuff. Yeah. And it was like, it also say on each of those areas, like no outside food or drink, which they didn't enforce at all.
They didn't.
They didn't enforce anything. But they were there, and they still made you go through, and they still checked things and whatever and bags and stuff. At one point,
check your badge though. Like I made this big stink about trying to get a badge because I thought I needed one, but like no one checked me when I came in. No one checked me at any point after that.
Yeah, because they're just venue people. They're not part of Adepticon.
Mm.
So they really did not. I mean, most of them, they had no idea what the hell was going on. Like they opened, at one point, I had, in the evening, I was going to play Magic, and I had my backpack full of Magic cards, and they opened up and looked at it, and they're like, what's in that? What's those? And I'm like, that's Magic cards. I'm like, oh, what's Magic cards? I'm like, all right, you want me to teach you how to play? But they were all really cool and really chill. For the most part, they were chill. I was a little bit worried about like log jams, insecurity, and like really busy times, because I was especially freaking out because first day of the con, Thursday morning, I had my painting class right at 8 a.m. And so I was like, well, what if everyone's going through at the same time in the same skywalk that I am to go to their tournament or some shit, and then I can't get there, I'm gonna be late for my class. You know, my over analyzing freak out moment. And it was quick. It was never overloaded. Just like everywhere else in the convention, that was not a worry at all. So that was a nice thing. So, and also I was carrying around a pocket knife the whole time.
Oh yeah, so
in my pocket.
In case there were lines, you could just shiv a bitch.
Yeah, that was the point of the pocket knife.
Yeah,
but they never said boo. They never. It never came up. It's not like I was like swiping it at people, but like it never came up in the metal detector. And my metal detector never went off for me for that.
What?
I mean, all these people have fucking exactos and shit too. No one ever got in trouble for that. I was just like, I don't know.
What are you guys doing?
Who knows? I don't really know. But it was, as far as I can tell, no one, brought in like a sniper rifle or anything. So
Yeah, okay.
that was the important thing.
As far as you could tell, yeah, there were no.
I could tell. There was zero Uzis were spotted.
Yeah, just a lot of
my watch.
Just a lot of miniature Uzis and miniature snipers.
Yeah, that's true. They're all made of plastic and resin, so those don't count.
All right, the shopping. I dipped my head into the vendor hall for probably a solid 15 minutes, and got nothing done. So you probably had a little bit more of a thorough experience. How did you find the vendor hall?
I wish it was a thorough experience.
Oh, you didn't?
I spent so the vendor hall is probably somewhere between 30 and 50% bigger in the number of booths from last year. So that's cool. There's a bunch more variety of things and cool games. Trench Crusade had a booth. There's a bunch of awesome, unique booths that were there, games.
I saw pictures of their booth, and they looked so cool with all the crazy props they had.
I spent 5.5 hours on Thursday going through the vendor hall, and I didn't really buy anything. Not because there weren't cool things, but because everything. My goal is every year is I want to go on Thursday, and take a full lap. Mm-hmm. See everything. Mm-hmm. Things will speak to me. It's like, ooh, that's good. Ooh, that model, because there was stuff from like Neko Galaxy and Mindwork Games. I want to see all the nice displays. It's a great time to buy display models and busts. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to get my lay of the land, and I'm going to figure out what my buy list is, and then go back and buy those things after seeing everything. I made it. It took me 5.5 hours, and I made it through maybe half of the vendor hall. Mm-hmm. And I ended up not buying anything because then I had to be somewhere. And this is not a fault of the convention center. It's just like a lot of people want to talk, and a lot of people want to, say like, hey, and they want to take pictures and whatever. And like everything takes longer, which is fine. So one of the reasons I love going is it's an opportunity for me to see people. And I go to some of the booths. I went and hung out Game Envy booth. I hung out at Pro Acryl booth. I hung out with my boys over at Steamforge Games. I got to see a bunch of people that I, only get to see a couple times a year. Hung out with the Army Painter crew and all that kind of stuff, just talking with people and get to see a couple times a year. Talking to people that listen to the podcast, watch the channel, that kind of things. And time flies by, and I'm like, oh, fuck, I did get to buy a couple of the con exclusive things from Relic Blade. I made sure to pick up those. So I got some Relic Blade stuff. I did buy the event exclusive models from Games Workshop.
Nice. I saw some crazy lines at the Relic Blade booth. It seemed like they were busy, but again, I just saw the pictures.
Yeah, right when it opened at Thursday, their line was incredibly long. Luckily, Dan Malson and Britt and Drew, they went there right when it opened. I was in class teaching, and they were able to get the con exclusive models for me.
Nice.
Because otherwise I would have been sold out before I got there. But yeah, I got to hang out with Sean Sutter at Relic Blade, and that's always fun. And Malev and at that booth. So a bunch of really cool things, but honestly, I just feel like I didn't get to fully appreciate and experience the vendor hall as much as I would have liked to. And there was a whole bunch of booths that I just kind of see in passing. I want to dig in and spend more time there. And the weekend flies by.
Yeah.
There's always somewhere to be and something to do, or going from A to B always takes longer than you think it does. But overall, I was like, I think the feeling that I missed out and I didn't get to do as much there as I wanted to is a good sign, because there was so much to see and so many cool things and cool games I hadn't heard of or got to see in person. Or I wish I would have been able to go to Trench Crusade. They were selling badass looking shirts. I wanted to buy a Trench Crusade shirt, didn't get one. They sold out. So
yeah. I feel like if you're not thinking about the details you're missing from the previous venue and like how it was run previously, then that's a sign that the new venue is a great replacement.
Yeah. In terms of that, and just the liveliness, the width of the walking aisles were much bigger. You were not felt like you were in a cattle chute. You had to like go down, whatever. You could weave in and out. You go to a booth, you can hang back out, you could whatever, and that was cool.
You don't got to eat at the only fucking restaurant in Schaumburg's hotel.
Oh God, that was like always packed, and the food was super mid.
Always understaffed too.
Yeah.
And, like everyone just hated you. Like they did not want to do you a favor. None of the staff.
No, they were miserable for having been there with that many people nonstop.
Yeah.
I do want to mention what I will say is the only negative experience that I have, and it's not even negative, but it's just an interesting point of note, and I heard multiple people say the same thing, and it's related to the facilities, is that it didn't feel like there was like known hangout spots. And this could just be due to it being the first year and, things haven't been, figured out. But in Schaumburg, if I went to like 3 different areas, I could probably find the person, especially in the evenings.
Yeah.
I could find where a bunch of the painters were hanging out at.
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to be at the Golden Demon Cases. It's going to be in the area with the fire pit with the circles, right outside of that restaurant, or it's going to be down at Fort Wapple, right? Those were the 3 key locales.
Yep.
Here, there was the Golden Demon Cases, but that was about the only thing. And so, like, I just always felt like you didn't get to find, where are the hubs,
Yeah.
And so
that should probably develop over the
it
course.
will, but it was noticeable that it was just like, oh, I didn't feel like I have a home, a place to go back to, and whatever. And so I'd often go back to Golden Demon Cases thinking that I'd see people there, and there just wouldn't be anybody there. And I was like, well, I'm all by myself.
All by myself. We saw Louise Sudgeon for a very brief moment, and I felt so bad for her. She seemed so frazzled and so just all over the place. And I understand she spent the entire convention just at the Pro Curl booth? Sorry, not the entire convention.
But she was there a big chunks of time every day. Yes.
Yeah.
She was there. She actually sent me a really nice video. She got at the awards ceremony. She got a really nice video that she took of when they called my name and had me walk up.
Nice.
and hugged Roman and all that stuff and whatever. And so that was really nice of her. And it was great to hang out with her and see her again. We hadn't seen her since we were over on their side of the pond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But she's always just a ball of joy.
Yeah, dude.
She's got so much energy. And I think that takes her a long ways, but also probably drained her so much of being on.
To be so animated all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Because conventions over in the UK and Europe, they're completely different animals than over here.
Yeah.
They're typically a day thing or 2 days, and their hours are like 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then you're just like, it's there, and then it's gone. And here it's just like
all the time.
Yeah, it's just like this is our bubble. We're all in this bubble together and just get to absorb it at all times.
Yeah, I got to see Roman very briefly, and I asked him like what he thinks of Adepticon, and he was like, it's kind of like European shows, but just like the American version. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get that. It's like everything's just bigger and there's more.
More. So I got to see all sorts of fun creators.
How was your teaching experience?
Oh, my teaching experience. I was really worried leading up to this because I know how much of a drain and how much constantly going and trying to soak up every little drip that is Adepticon while it's here. And that I was worried that I was like, oh, when I teach, that's just going to be another big commitment and I'm not going to be able to do the other things, or I'm going to be stressing about it. And it was the opposite experience. I was so surprised how pleasant it was, because for 2 hours, it was just me and those 18 students. I had nowhere else to be.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any expectations. I had no outside noise. I had no outside distractions. It was just, let's just have fun. I was really confident in my curriculum and what I wanted to have them impart with and go through the journey with them and spend one-on-one time with every single student. And I felt like I learned a lot, and I felt like there was rooms to grow, and I was able to adapt on the fly for what the students needed for their specific part in the journey that they're at for miniature painting. But I had so much fun, and I felt like it was just great. I absolutely am going to continue teaching. I don't think I will plan on, in the near future anyway, doing something larger than a 2-hour class, because I feel like we can get in, we can focus on I always focus on 2 very important takeaways,
Mm-hmm.
and we are going to make sure that you leave confident to be able to implement those things at your own painting desk.
Wow.
and just have fun. And it's not super draining. It's like once you get to 4+ hours, it's just like, we all have attention spans. And
Wait, you don't want to do 16-hour classes?
oh God, dude, when we did that, never again, man.
Never.
I mean, I say never again. I'd do it again.
I like to get deep in it, but it is draining for sure to be like so focused on such a tiny thing for so long.
Right.
So I get that. But you would do it again though.
Yeah. I'm teaching again at Nova. I'm teaching this same class, 2 sections of the same class at Nova. There was a little snafu this last week with Nova's registration. All of us blew up the servers for the registration, so it immediately went down, and it's going to be by the time that this episode goes live, it will have been up again, but it'll be 12 days later.
Oh, wow.
Said the registration is going to go up again. So that's great though. That I'm going to teach the same class at Nova. I have made some tweaks, some adjustments, some thoughts on the miniature I bring is going to be slightly different. I don't know exactly what that miniature is going to be yet, but I used a miniature that had a very feminine. It was a female barbarian, badass model. Loved the model, but she had very like gentle, feminine elf features in her face, and so I realized that for some of the key takeaways for this painting experience, that there was other important factors you really needed to bring into the fold to execute on that face correctly, because it was a very difficult face to paint well.
Okay.
And that wasn't the focus of the class.
Okay.
So having people spend so much time on the face and maybe getting some frustrations was detracting from what I really wanted them to take away.
Okay.
And actually, in the second session of the class, I specifically had them not paint her face. Like, I know that's where we're going to want to start. That's where I want to start. But the key things that you're gonna learn and gain confidence and be able to replicate from, I want you to get down first, and let's worry about the other. There's a lot of other great materials and surfaces on that model to focus on. So,
Where did the model come from?
it was a Steamforged Games model.
Okay. So was that 3D print?
No, it was a hard plastic.
Okay.
So I mean, it was really, Chris, I don't know if I should have brought that too to show you that, because I did bring the models that from TEP Live. I brought those models with, so we're going to be able to look at those later. But yeah, it was like, it was just, you really had to understand really fine brush control on that, the really gentle, almost like porcelain skin of a female elf face. It was well sculpted, but it's very small. So that was could be a difficult thing. But yeah, I learned. I'm excited. I'm gonna teach that course again.
Keep iterating.
Yeah, I'm gonna iterate, and then as I evolve in my painting style and bring in more things into the fold, that class will evolve. Maybe I'll add a different class. I'll kind of want to get to a point where it's like I have a hopper of like 3 to 6 classes where they're all 2-hour classes on different things that I can, pull out of the hopper which ones I want to teach and rotate out of them year over year. But got to start with one.
Yeah.
So
Perfect. Okay, cool. What else is on the list here? You played some Magic the Gathering?
Oh, yeah, 2 Magic the Gathering nights, baby.
Nice.
Poor Vincey V had to leave early because he had to leave Adepticon early. He left Friday evening because his poor dog Penny was diagnosed with cancer about a month earlier. Had her first, and she was doing fine. She hadn't shown really many signs, negative signs up to leading up to Adepticon. But then a Wednesday of Adepticon, she had her first chemo treatment. Did not respond to that well, and Vince had to fly home on Friday afternoon, early evening, to go home and then put her down Saturday morning. So
damn.
Yeah, it was a rough event for Vince. So our heart goes out to him, and Kathy. And so Vince wasn't there for our Friday night Magic, but he was there for Thursday night Magic. We do multiple Magic evenings at Adepticon. We did a draft of Foundations, the Foundation set draft. A couple of my patrons showed up too, and we found it was great. We were scoped out, found a room on the second floor. It was a big room where they played I think it was X-Wing was being played in that room.
X-Wing, awesome.
Yeah. In the evening, fucking nobody in there. And so we get in there, we start drafting. We have more people than we have spots for a draft, and so more people just started playing Commander games. Then other people came down over the course of Thursday night and Friday night. More and more people found out we were playing Magic there, and there's all sorts of Magic going on. There was an official Magic room. We said, fuck that. We're making our own room.
There was an official Magic room?
Yeah, but we went and checked that out, and that just felt like there was still people with tables with historical shit on it. And so we were like, get the fuck out of here. We're not doing that.
Okay.
So we found a different room, and we hung out. We did draft. We did Commander. And then the Friday night we did Ben's old school cube. We cubed with that. And then we played more Commander. I know I went to bed at a reasonable hour every evening this year. They were up playing, I think, Commander till somewhere between 2 and 4 in the morning every night. But I usually would jet about midnight, just so I can get some sleepy sleeps.
Okay. I want to ask this question at the end, but I also want to ask it now. So I'm going to ask it now. What was the highlight of the event for you? Was it playing Magic the Gathering, or was it something else?
It was winning a Golden Demon.
Of course. Okay. If that wasn't...
If I take that out of it...
I forgot that.
If I take that out of it, oh gosh, there were a lot of highs. I just think the whole event in the new location, once I started to feel comfortable with it, was just fucking awesome. There were some highs that I think Top Live was a big high for me. That was such a fun event, and in that big cool room, and we had the big screens with the the background of their set. It felt just like what I would love Top Live to be.
Right, yeah. We had a plan. We did something. It's becoming more of a show.
Yeah,
really.
And I'm really, really happy with that. I want to continue that, and I just felt like the work that we put into making it feel more like a live show and stuff. We learned some stuff. We'll adapt some things. We'll evolve some things, but it felt closer to what I think our vision of making it still feel like Tracked Under Plastic, but feel like a unique experience for the live audience as well. And so that was amazing. I hate to say it, but I just love playing Magic. And you're just
Why do you hate to say it?
Because I'm at a fucking miniatures convention and I'm playing Magic the Gathering.
But you've already stated multiple times that mini war games are not for you.
Yeah, and there are exceptions, and there are asterisks to that statement, but I also, I had to follow my heart, dog. And my heart says I would rather sit and play a game of Commander than I would rather sit and play a game of Kill Team or 40K or Warcry or whatever. And it's not that I don't want to play those. I think a big part of it to me really is, I've learned about myself through the years of conventions, is that I am so fueled by the energy of all the people there and this cool experience that like I get hyper ADHD.
Yeah.
I can't sit still and play a game, especially it's not a game that I don't know inside and out.
Yeah.
I can do that. It's in the evenings. It's more chill. I know I could play Magic in my sleep, and I can enjoy the company of the other people and not fuck with my enjoyment of the game.
Yeah.
I can't really do that with where I'm at with my miniature gaming journey to feel like I can do that and still like play a decent game of anything.
Yeah.
I don't know the rules well enough. I'm not experienced. I don't know what your thing is going to do, let alone what my thing's going to do. And
I feel that. And it's funny because I think I appreciate it for the same reason, or you don't appreciate it, but I appreciate it for the same reason that you don't appreciate it for. I like to have a chunk of time where it's like I am committing myself to this long task, because Adepticon very often for me is kind of just like, oh, we're kind of always just ready to go.
Yeah.
And like very often nothing happens for like maybe an hour or 2 hours. Like we're just kind of walking around and talking to people, which is what you do at shows for sure. But I like to just slow down and be like, nope, I don't care what anything else is going on right now. I'm going to play this game for the next 4 hours or 3 hours or whatever it is. And that makes it just really easy to kind of like make decisions. Cause I'm always kind of like, what are we doing now? Where are we going next?
What are we supposed to do?
So that all just goes away immediately when you sit down to play a game, Shatterpoint or Guild Bar or whatever.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Is you always have this. I call it an anxious feeling of I'm always supposed to be doing something or supposed to be somewhere.
Yeah.
Not in a way that like, oh no, I forgot where I'm supposed to be.
I need to take advantage of my time while I'm here. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to suckle.
Yeah, yeah. And it feels super bad when you're waist deep in a game and like someone's like, dude, me and 3 other YouTubers are gonna go to get dinner. It's like, you want to come? It's like, fuck. Like, no, I can't do that now. So that does feel bad when that happens. But yeah, you kind of give and take.
Yeah, I think that's the goal of like the evening times of like after dinner, and then we'll figure out what the dinner time is gonna be, and then after dinner, maybe starting at 7 or 8. You're gonna sit down and just sit for 4 hours. And I would be honestly, if that was what the schedule was, I kind of don't care what the game is at that point. If we're gonna sit down and do a crazy one shot of an RPG, fuck yeah. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna learn to play more time for 4 hours. Fuck yeah. I don't. As long as like it's in this box and it can't be fucked with, I will totally do that. Magic evolved to be that.
Yeah.
I would totally. My big thing is like, I want somebody else to be the champion and in charge of it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I want someone to tell me like, hey, dude, you're interested in this? I'm like, yes. You want to commit X amount of hours added of your Adepticon time to this? Then I make that call. If I say yes, then they say, cool, be here at X time. And then I'm like, yeah. That's why I've loved to do in prior years, like the Relic Blade Learn to Plays and that kind of thing. It's like, oh, Relic Blades, I just think that game is so fun. And like Malev does all the thinking work and he like explains it and here's the scenario and here's the story and you two sit down and whatever, and he helps you with the rules. I'm like, oh, God damn, this is what I love. I love having a Malev by me to explain the stuff to me, and I get to enjoy the game.
Malev's going to visit Minnesota. He's going to stay at my new house in August.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I asked him what he wanted to do, and he was like, really, all I want to do is remove every barrier you have to making a game. And I was like, all right, fuck yeah. But then he also wants to be on like Top and stuff.
Fuck
like
yeah.
That. But yeah, he'll be here in August.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I talked to him a bit about game design and games and stuff.
Nice. Yeah. He's super impassioned about it.
He
has this cool movement where he like bought a box of random models and wanted to make a game out of it. And so then he had like this whole event where everyone just would go out and buy a box of any minis they want. Like a box can be a set of STLs. It could be a literal physical box. And then you make rules with only the models in that box. And so there were so many cool games that came out of that whole experiment. He made like a prison break game where it's like you have a bunch of prisoners and like this little board, and they're like, I think they're all fighting. It's kind of like a cell block brawl or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but they're all wearing orange jumpsuits. But it's really cool. And yeah, he's super passionate about game design.
I talked to him pretty deeply about Ghost Boat.
Oh yeah, did you?
Yeah, cause
literally Ghost Boat or Demon Ship?
Both. But I pitched an idea to him, and he's like, "I've already thought about this idea." I'm like, "Great."
Yes.
Like we need to. The best things are when the memes become reality. And I said,
and we say them enough. Then
Malev, you and I need to work together, and we need to make Ghost Boat.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, good. And he started telling me about like his thoughts of like mechanics and how it's different in the story. And I'm like, fuck yeah, this let's fucking do it, man. So he's so I love the micro game thing. It just it's so aesthetically pleasing to me too.
It is, yeah. He has another game right now. I think it's called Great Helm, where you just play as like a small war band of like guys with great swords, and like you're just fighting another war band. And it's like in a little tiny little board as well. And he did Pit Lord as well, which is another small little game.
That sounds So we'll definitely have him on the podcast when he's up here. Maybe we can do a hang out sometime and just three of us chill and play some fun games or something.
Yeah,
I'd love to do that and have him teach us some games or.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a whole plan actually. We're gonna make a video where we have to finish a game to the point where it is play testable, and then we're gonna go and play test it at the source. And so we have like a timeline. We have to design the game inside the timeline, and then have the materials to go and play test it, and that'll be like the finale of the video.
Oh, cool.
So that's our whole idea so far.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
I'm excited for it.
Oh man, see these great sidetracks. I'm excited. Now I'm excited. All right, we're gonna end on Tup Live. So before we do that, I'm gonna talk Golden Demon. First and foremost, from a logistics standpoint, Golden Demon, and since it's been in America, has never run smoother. I give a lot of props to the Games Workshop event staff. Because it seemed more well organized from the front end. It seemed like a lot of the hiccup things we didn't experience as contestants or whatever.
What's an example of that?
And one small thing was, and maybe it is a big thing, is that it was always confusing when it was like notable, commended, finalist.
Yeah.
What do these mean?
Yeah.
When do you know? How is it categorized? Blah, blah, blah. They came out with brand new pins, which are bigger and cooler and sexier. And the colors of the pins are bronze, silver, and gold. And so they say,
oh, okay.
Right? They say notable for bronze, commended are silver, and finalists are gold.
So when the visual thing.
And so when the pins are put on there, you know exactly where you stand. Mm-hmm. And you get to see the levels as you're going through the cases and see the pins on there. And you can see visual recognition and clarification. And so that's kind of a visual example of where I can see the work that they did and how it impacts us. But just even from the fully online registration system, just the clarification about the asking questions in the registration to make sure that it's clarified to you and to them, what category you're in, what's the model, what's the base size, all these kinds of things. So like you go in, you have your model, they are like, yep, they already know that it's you, know that it's there, they're blah, 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 blah. And like, it was just smooth. Picking up your models was smooth. The whole layout of the whole case area was so much better. It's not a big circle anymore. It's kind of a C-shaped where the long section is really long. So the lines seem to move, much easier. And you could even see some of the models, even if you weren't in the queue, as the Brits say. It was still super busy for people looking at models the entire time, but it just seemed much more efficient. They didn't have crazy. There's some natural light that came in there, but not so crazy that it totally blew out the quality of the paint jobs. The models looked nicer. They didn't look great, but they looked much nicer than they had in prior years. Communication was a big thing. They during Tup Live, they broke my model again. It was this little rock piece that's hanging off here. It snapped off.
Yeah.
And
is it time to pick this thing up now?
Sure. Yeah. Here, let me turn the light on for you.
You got it?
Yep, I got it. Something about it no longer like needing to make it to Golden Demon is I have a lot less stress over it. But he texted me and called me right away, and he was apologetic, whatever. And I'm like, that's, it's human. You're dealing with thousands of models. It's no big deal. They, asked me to come down and fix it, and I did, and they brought it right out in the case with gloves. They use gloves all the time. They had plenty of staff that were, retrieving models, putting them in the case, making sure they'd get them back for judging and pictures, all that kind of stuff. it seemed pretty straightforward. It also, with the advent of the new pin system, it feels a bit more like an open competition.
Yeah, props to GW for kind of like creating the best of both worlds.
Yes, it really does feel like it. It feels like you get a serious boost of encouragement and confidence as, you know, you're on your journey and really feeling like getting that notable or that commended is an accomplishment. And you can see that all of the notables meet this criteria. All the commended meet this criteria. All the finalists that are the golds, they're this criteria. So you've already won a gold by getting that finalist pin. And then the trophies are just the, you know, these are what we consider, for whatever criteria they use, who fucking knows, the 3 best of those finalists. So the top 3 of those finalists. So that was great, you know. So yeah, their communication there, having your, when you registered, they had you put your cell phone number on there so they could communicate with you if they needed to. So that was big. They also, I would have brought the Golden Demon trophy too, but I don't have it because their entire case of Golden Demon trophies was stuck in the port, in the customs. So there was no trophies there. They had 3 trophies. They had 1 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze. And so if you won a trophy, you'd go up, they'd shake their hand, you'd get the trophy. And then when you went down the other side of the stage, they took the trophy from you and put it back up on there.
They're
so
like, now,
yeah,
give that back.
like, I want it. So that's a bummer, but it's like, oh, it's okay. And they said, to make it up for you, we're making custom plaques that will go on your trophy. That'll say your name, the category of the year, and we're gonna include it in a goodie bag that we send it to you when we send you the trophy as a thank you, as a apology for you not having your trophies here.
Very cool.
So like they were like, it just feels like that there's a bit more conscientious, like part of somebody's, you know, part of their scope of their job is this kind of thing, and the kinds of things that kind of felt rushed or second thought or overthought or not given any attention are they're making these steps in the direction that I really appreciate.
Improvements, right? Like they're listening to the bitching and moaning that we're doing on the show constantly, and they're actually making a change, and that's awesome. And that's that we need to give credit when that happens for sure.
Yeah. And then so I unfortunately I entered the, I think is largely considered, and open to debate, the most difficult or the most highly contested category for the entire Golden Demon. The Age of Sigmar large model was stacked unlike any other category with really, really well done models. And so I was nervous as hell the entire weekend because I'm like, there's so many of these that are so freaking good.
Yeah.
And I mean, you see like of the last probably 4 or 6 Golden Demon Slayer Sword winners, like 4 of the 6 are Age of Sigmar large. So people are kind of getting the idea that, and that wasn't even including this year's, and this year's was another one. So the large Age of Sigmar models, apparently there was a memo. That's not why I chose this, but whoops. That's where the big heavy hitters are, and they all came out in this year's one. So
yeah, Slayer Sword is difficult, right? Because you have to compare all these different categories of miniatures. So how do you compare a skink to this thing? You know, it's hard. It's hard to do. And this thing is just impressive. You know, it just has this breathtaking, awe-inspiring quality about it. Yeah, it's just unmistakable. Yeah, it's incredible.
And it's hard to refine to whatever level you're refining to when you just simply have so much more square footage to do that on and to do it all over the place.
Yeah.
That was kind of my big thing this year. Was my strategy was I want to hit a level of refinement on every tiny detail that is undeniable. That's the word I kept trying to tell myself. It's like, I want to be undeniable. They cannot overlook this. They cannot look at this and not say, wow, every detail was done. Now, there are better painters than me. There are people that could execute better than me and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, some of that I can't reach, but I can put in the time and really pour everything into doing this in hope that that's enough. And, you know, I was really, really shooting for gold this year. I really, really wanted gold, and I really felt like I had a good shot at it. There is rumors that it was very, very, very close. And so I'm proud. And I'm proud to have gotten anything. I mean, we see people that or there that are multiple Slayer Sword winners that didn't get a trophy this year, and their work was amazing.
Yeah.
Like great painters that are seasoned veterans and winners. There's no guarantee, and that is, I don't look at that as a downside. I think that is a part of competition, specifically for Golden Demon, but I think any miniature painting competition that makes it feel alive and makes it feel that level of excitement of the unknown, that I think is a healthy thing, because it pushes you to, you can't ever rest on your laurels, and the competition continues to grow, and we all grow because of it if we want to improve our miniature painting no matter where we're at in the journey. And I just like, I'm inspired. Some of the things that I thought were the coolest things there, they didn't win, and they're still valuable to me, and I still think they're amazing pieces, and people will grow. The guy who won the Slayer Sword had never won a Golden Demon in his life. So, and it's not the first time he's entered many times before too.
Okay.
And he just has never even won a demon. And so it's like, that shows. I did learn some things. There are some things that I'm going to take away that I think I'm adjust my strategy a bit. Our good friend Band Cantor, with his crazy, amazing diorama, he didn't make finalist with that, and I think that's a travesty. But I think the reason why is not his composition and it's not his painting. He is amazing at all those. I think there were some factors that wouldn't be found on a score sheet that kept his off, which is sad. But also understanding the reality of a competition and not trying to fight the stream is important too. And Ben would, I think, say the same. Actually, he did in a recent video. So you check out Metal AF Miniatures on YouTube. You can watch his interesting breakdown of his experience with Golden Demon. It's very, very cool.
Yeah. There's a couple of subtle things about the paint scheme on this model that I haven't noticed, but now do, because it's all together. The replication of color in the purple of the horns, the magenta of the horns to the tail. I think that really like ties a lot of the model together really nicely. The green on the knuckles and the green in the face as well, having that replicated is really nice as well. It feels very cohesive, I think part of my issue, which I didn't say anything because you were doing your whole thing, is that I felt like it wasn't coming together color scheme wise, but seeing the whole model together, it absolutely does. I think it looks really effective. Especially from the front, it feels very cohesive from the front.
Yeah, that was a big scary thing. I didn't have the utmost confidence either as I'm doing it, because you're working in 5 sub assemblies.
Yeah,
and I worked out the scheme in its basic level, but you still, it's not all together until it's almost time to go. So
right, yeah.
So that kind of a thing.
But it came together beautifully, John. Truly, this is a magnificent model. It's the best model you've ever painted.
Yeah,
and like you've really, and you have the accolades to show it, and I'm proud of you. This is an incredible feat.
Thank you. It was
You're welcome.
I don't know. It was a big milestone for me.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm really proud of him, and having him in the case. I don't think I would ever see the day where I would be, if someone was like, "Oh, I'll give you $1 million for that model." I don't think I would sell it. That's how much it's like. I mean, maybe $1 million. Okay. All right. I'm not lying.
There he is.
I take the $1 million, but you got to let me visit it every 6 months.
You need visitation rights.
Yeah, I get visitation rights. I get a week. I get supervised weekend visits. But I was also really fucking nervous about putting the fucking LEDs in the base. And I was so nervous about that because I'm like, oh, are they going to fucking DQ me? Is it going to be too distracting? Is it going to be something that's whatever? And
it's just so awesome. I love it.
I think that was the things, like, people were like, I got more comments about that than I did about the painting of the model.
It's so cool. It's so cool. I love the cool factor.
Yeah, I was like, well, I mean, you have an opportunity where you have the 3 dimensions of the interior of the base to show depth, and I was like, I can't achieve that showing of depth. I mean, you see what it's like when there's no light on it. It just looks like there's nothing in there, and that's all painted all the way to the back, to the same level as the front. And I'm like, I got to show that depth. It's a cool opportunity you don't often get to see in miniatures, is adding a level of depth of field that isn't just the top of the front, from the front of the base to the back of the base. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I got to do it. I was like, I got the light switch on there. If everyone's like, don't turn it on, I won't turn it on before I turn it in. But I was like, fuck this, it's going on.
Nice.
Nobody told me that, but
yeah,
I was worried, It was my parachute. I was just like, well, I just can choose not to turn it on. But
yeah.
Because this whole scene is based off of, I did screenshots from the Skaven Tide Age of Sigmar release video, that official Games Workshop release video. It is all based on that. And
From the prior year.
Yeah, from the prior year. So it's all screen grabs of when they come up out of the tunnels and all the infrastructure of how their kind of structure with beams and their Skaven like insignias and everything that's like banged iron and stuff. It's all modeled all the way through there, just like the video. And I mentioned that to I won't say his name, a gentleman that worked for Games Workshop when I was turning it in. And he's like, he picks it up and he looks at it and he's like, oh my God, it is. And then he's like, I have to tell the other people here. And I was like, as long as some of those people are the judges, you can tell them that too.
Yeah.
He laughed or whatever, but it's like, no, I was like, I don't want brownie points, but I do say it's like, one thing that I wanted to do was to emphasize their world and emphasize their universe in the bit of storytelling there, and to use what they envision as it. Not lore. They're tunnel systems. I was also going to add a shitload more rats and maybe even some clan rats and stuff coming out of the whole, but I decided to keep it more minimal because otherwise you cover up that whole scene.
Yeah, and then I also feel like it starts to get into the world of diorama and not that. It's hard to be an in between thing, right?
Yeah,
I wouldn't know where to put it.
Bro, there's this little rat over here. See this dude? He doesn't have back legs. He's an amputee and he's got a single fucking wheel. Yeah, dude.
Is that an actual model you can buy?
I have so many little baby rats that are like extra bits from kits that are used for this, and I was just like. Yeah, there's two of them up on top here. Like, look, under the back of his horns, there's like a bazillion of them. I had to paint those like they were. And then I put his head on. I'm like, you can't even fucking see those as soon as I painted them.
They're the Easter eggs, though. Dude, the wheel rat is definitely number one.
Yeah, I had to put him on there. I'm like, I need to find a spot for Wheelie Rat here.
He's like running away. He's like, oh, shit, dude.
Yeah. Squeaky wheels. But I like the different jumping and like running poses of the wheel, of the different ones that are coming out. I wanted them to feel like, woof, they're really leaving the hole. But
do you ever like just sit and stare at this thing for a little bit?
Not since I got back, but like once it was all together and the light was working before, like this was like literally 18 hours before leaving for Adepticon. I did sit for like an hour and I was just kind of like, oh, okay. And I did actually put some more paint on at that point too. It was like, I started off just kind of like looking for more things to fix, and it ended up being with just like, oh, that, I really liked how that turned out. Like his green knuckles up here look better when the bronze thing is now on, because that was a separate piece, that big bronze insignia, and like how things came together when it was all painted. I repainted his hoof, and I had to like wedge bricks in texture paste under that hoof and under this staff so they weren't floating, even though I tested everything. You know, you fucking test everything 100 times, and when you get to put glue on the painted model, it's some magic happens and it doesn't fit exactly the way you want. So I had to redo that and do all that kind of little things. But yeah, we got there.
Awesome.
We got there. So yeah, that's Golden Demon. He got silver in the category of Age of Sigmar large. Gold won the Slayer sword. And so that's, I guess if I'm going to lose, I'll lose to the Slayer sword.
He'll accept it.
I'll accept. I won't be happy, but I'll accept. So I also thought, all right, one of my things for like wanting gold out of this was like, if I get gold, I'm not going to paint Golden Demon next year. I'm just going to be like, I feel so accomplished. I feel like that's what I wanted. And then I'm not going to do it. And when I got silver, I'm like, oh gosh, the weight of this is still so heavy on me. And that lasted like a day, and then I'm already like, okay, what am I gonna do next year? What's my plan? What's my strategy?
You're a drug addict, dude. You can't get enough.
Part of it is just like trying to pull together, and I don't know unless I have a really cool niche idea, like your Space Marine idea. I don't foresee myself doing the tiny little like single dude on a base, like a single Plague Marine for AOS or 40K single.
My idea.
Remember, because yours is your
Prey Sight.
Prey Sight idea
yeah.
is a sweet as hell story.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not a massive scene. Right.
Sure.
I mine is not necessarily. I'm going to do a big thing like this every fucking year because I would kill myself. But I want like part of the addiction is the visualization of the creativity of this is what I think I want to do, and here's the scene I want to make, or like here's how I really think I can make this model look amazing. And now I want to start learning ZBrush too. So that's
Getting some lessons from Ben Cantor.
Ben's a great one, but also Raphael, I believe is his name. He won gold in Old World with the dwarf on the Manticore and everything he sculpted.
Wow.
And it looks like a GW model. It's like based off of the old metal one, but it looks fucking amazing. And his base is the coolest base I've ever seen. Like it looks like the plinth where the Manticore's front hoof goes down. It cracks the stone, and that crack carries over the edge, like the whole side of the plinth.
Oh,
is made of that same material.
That's awesome.
Cracked it open, so there's a little red line of the lava. It's just fucking glorious. And
That's
so
awesome.
I talked to him. I got to see his when we were picking up our pieces. I got to hold his in person. And he looked at mine, and I'm like, hey. And he's like, yeah, he works on video games for a living. He's like, yeah, I do this for a living. He's like, I can show you some cool stuff. And he was very... So I'm like, I'm okay. I'm going to take some lessons.
Nice.
And get my Miyagi.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, I just want to be able to 3D sculpt awesome plinths that show a scene. And kind of thing. So anyway, who knows if I can get to that. It's a whole nother 1,000 hours of work to figure out, to learn. But
you'll paint a smaller model, but you'll spend twice as much time learning how to sculpt.
Shit. Oh, shit. And that's not necessarily exciting, like video creation content right there too, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I mean, it's less the learning, maybe once you've kind of figured it out and you walk through
the execution, right?
Right. But I also don't know how much people want to learn that or are interested in that. There's a level of like this cool thing, how you do a cool thing. It's related to the miniature hobby, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right, I gotta pee, and then we're gonna talk Top Live.
All right, now that John's back from relieving himself,
Drain the main vein.
let's talk about Top Live, which you watched. It was the last episode that came out on the podcast.
I had gone back and rewatched that to see how that looked. How is it?
I mean, I listened to a little bit of it because I needed to do some of the audio on it because they had us like mess with the levels and stuff, and so I wanted to make sure it sounded okay. Yeah, I mean, it seemed pretty cool. The stage was too dark, but we knew that going in.
Yeah. That's maybe where we start is brand new fancy locale, up in the Grand Ballroom, the same location as the GW release event, and we had big screens.
Mm-hmm.
They had their sound guys there that were super nice and helpful.
Yeah.
And they were not. I can't remember if they were part of the Adepticon crew. I don't think they were. I think they were the location people.
Yeah, I can't remember that, unfortunately.
Because one thing that I considered it Top Live a success was Ginger Jesus, my buddy, was there, and he helped set up. He was just the most amazing gopher for the entire weekend for me, but it was so helpful for us for Top Live. And he sat behind the stage with them, and
For the whole show?
For much of the show. He took video and stuff of it too.
Okay.
But he also was was towards the end of the show, and those two guys that have no interest in miniature wargaming, have no idea what the hell we were talking about. They told him, he was like, oh, how did it go or whatever. And they were both like, that was freaking amazing. That was so fun and so cool. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I'm kind of confused, actually.
Right? Yeah. I was like, wow.
The only person who would be interested in watching that show is someone that knows our podcast.
I know.
And also, at the very least, knows the miniature hobby. But I'm glad to hear that's not the case.
Yeah. I was like, man, that is a true compliment. Also,
Yeah.
It wasn't you or I that were like asking them.
Right.
So they would say that.
Yeah.
It was just, so that was super cool. We had Evan introduce us as Vince Prime
Yeah.
to the podcast. That was fun. So we had actual kind of an intro. I came out as John Dolph. It was just being up on a stage was nice. You got to see, even though it was dark out there. But yes, we do need spotlights, and maybe that's a matter of also where we set up the tables and stuff in the future where they can get those front stage lights to be pushed up towards us.
Yeah.
We need to have that factor.
Or just maybe not like low illuminating lights. Maybe something that's a little bit more overhead or something like that. Because obviously the table is always going to be in the way. But something for us to figure out.
Just the tiny things, but overall,
yeah.
We were stressed as fuck because we were supposed to go in and set up at 6 for the live show at 7. The whole place was fucking locked till like 6:40. We finally got in.
Guy came through with the key and he's like, "Oh, my key got nuked by the security scanner." And we're like, "Oh God, who's coming next?"
Yeah.
We got in there and we set up fast.
Yes, and having the audio techs in there made it go real smooth.
Yeah,
and they got all the lighting
and also Evan as well helped.
Yes. So got everything we needed for everything we needed, and it was great. We had a big crowd.
Yeah. Do you know how many times you went to go pee?
Oh, probably at least 3.
3 times. Yeah.
I guess I have to pee a lot. I swear to God, my bladder's like the size of a goddamn lime or something.
Yeah.
And I also when we're there, I typically drink a lot of water and whatever all through Adepticon because like you just get so dehydrated.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that, and then I just continued that through the podcast, obviously talking all the time.
Yeah.
And it was just like it just kept running through me, dude.
Right. And no, it was good. It was good for me and the audience to bond, talk about volleyball, you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There was so much volleyball talk, dude.
Yeah, I know. I loved it.
The momentum system, bro. I got to learn about the momentum system.
Yeah, so I haven't talked about like the rules that I've made for that game yet, but I was like,
Now you have.
God, I'm gonna talk about like volleyball mechanics right now and like what I'm trying to like replicate. It was amazing.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I blame these motherfuckers asking the questions.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So we had the let me get this out.
Oh, the minis.
Get the minis.
Yeah, we had a little painting competition that went on during the show. We interviewed 6 total people, 3 each, and then we picked one champion from amongst the 3 to represent us in the painting competition. And they sat next to us, didn't get to enjoy the show at all, and we're just sweating bullets the entire time, painting 2 Plague Marines, which I thought for sure you would give to them, but you kept.
I didn't pick up anything.
Okay, they just left it there. Okay, so there's being good.
It's the same reason my headphones were with your stuff and not with mine. Everything was just grabbed.
Right.
No, these they didn't tell you. These are my Plague Marines for my army. I needed them painted. It'd be hilarious. Every time we do a Tough Live, we make them paint more models for my army, and then eventually I get an army by somebody else.
You know what's kind of crazy is the guy that you picked kind of paints like you.
Yeah, well,
Like the NMM chainmail has a very similar palette to the NMM on this model, and a lot of your fast NMM. It feels like it's very much so inspired.
yeah. I mean, both of them are for 90 minutes.
Yeah, they're incredible.
I don't know if I could paint a lot better than that in 90 minutes.
I don't think I could.
I don't think I could. I was like, I look at it, I'm like, that looks like 4 hours of work, guys.
Yeah.
And it was just so fun. And like they'd ask for help. They'd get different materials. Somebody brought up some grime stuff. Someone brought in
Some washes at one point.
fluo paints, that kind of things. Like, oh, it was so cool. The crowd was way more into like cheering on their champion than I had expected.
Yeah.
It was like that was the kind of thing that we were really hoping for, is to have everyone active and engaged and having fun, but still feeling like top. And I feel like that really, really worked. It also helped that the audience couldn't see what they were painting. So when you put the poll on the Facebook group at the end, they weren't biased on which one was their side. So they just had to paint, just had to pick based on the actual paint jobs. And I think we got 2 evenly matched contestants too in terms of their skill sets. They're both quite good.
I mean, and based on the votes, like I think your guy literally won by 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Like whatever the voting emojis we were using.
Right? Look, he did NMM chainmail on there with the rust, dude. Oh my, it's my boy. It's my boy. Those guys, I see that the one that painted, I believe his name is Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan and Jake, I think.
Yes,
the other guy. Yeah,
Ryan and Jake the Snake. Ryan, this was his first Adepticon, but his other dudes that he was there with from like his town, I'd seen them like the least last year, if not the year before, because they're always going around with Miller Lite silos. I'm like, you are my people. Let's fucking hang out. And those guys, they were telling me that earlier in the convention that they were like, dude, your VincyCon inspired us. We now do like once a month. We have a Saturday afternoon, evening, and we just get together and we hang out. It's our way to hang out, and we paint the whole time and whatever. And it's like, we were surprised how few are missed. Like we just always make it and whatever. And we're all gotten better because of it. And I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome that you guys are just, it was Ryan's first time there, but they consider him the best painter of their group. I totally did not take that into consideration when I saw his hand raised. I didn't know how good he is.
Yeah.
But he was the best of the group.
I mean, it can't be that bad.
Can't be that bad.
And then the guy that I picked went to the same GW store that I went to when I was younger.
Gurney Mills?
No, not Gurney Mills, but Kenosha, Wisconsin, Prairie Ridge.
Oh, Kenosha.
Yeah, and so it's just like he knew the same GW employee that I knew my entire life growing up, who actually did work at Gurney Mills, but is now settled in the Kenosha game store. But that was just a crazy coincidence that he knew that guy and we made that connection. But yeah, it was just a lot of cool stuff going on. It was super fun. I think for some feedback, we probably need to be able to we can't rely on people being there to ask interesting questions to. We need some more content to fill the time in between the painting competition. But I like the competition. I think it's fun. And it's a fun thing for people to do, vote on there at the event. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. I think that was a really cool thing. Yeah, I think we learned some things in our now our regular top businessy meetings. We have more things we're gonna take away. We got to meet a bunch of you amazing goody peepees in person. Sometimes some for the first time, some we see every year. That was great. Ellie took some amazing pictures. She's a professional photographer, and probably the background for the TUP thumbnail for this video is going to be one of her pictures. So you're going to be able to see that. And she took some great shots there. Got to meet her in person. Got to meet Gomez, which is why you're eating chocolate right now.
Mm-hmm.
Gomez, I think Gomez has been around since before my channel. I remember him from your old Twitch streams.
Gomez calls me Papa. That's his thing. And he's just been... He just has such a heart of grace. He just wants to give his time and his energy to you. And he does that. He's a mod in my Discord server. But even before that, he was always helping me out. He's always so eager and just so joyous all the time. Talking to Gomez is just interacting with a ray of sunshine. He's a wonderful human being. And he gave us some coffee to eat here. Coffee, chocolates, candies. I'm eating a coffee crisp,
Coffee chocolate.
and it's good. I like it. But a lot of candy from where he's from.
I got choquita. I've never had a choquita before. It says, Galeta con relleno, sabor vanilla y cobertura, sabor chocolate.
Good job. That sounded pretty good.
Who's fucking banging on the pipes in your ceiling, dude? You got fucking gnomes up there or something?
I don't know, but the AC has been off. All type of HVAC has been off for 7 days straight. I don't know what's going on, but
You got no airflow in this bitch?
there's none. But also there's no noise. It's so uncanny when I'm sitting over there and there's there's nothing, or there's way less than there normally is. So it makes for good video recording. And admittedly, we don't really need any kind of heating and cooling right now. It's kind of like that nice
it's that
temp
perfect mid zone.
for a closed house to be just perfectly regulated.
But you are paying for it, so you should get it.
That's true. Yeah. But it's not happening.
Not happening.
But yeah, shout out to Gomez. Wonderful person.
Shout out to Gomez. Shout out to all the goody peepees that showed up for Top Live. You crazy bastards. At the very end, this is the last thing I want to say about this. At the very end, there's a wonderful gentleman. He actually attended one of my painting classes. And I'm blanking on his name right now. I'm sorry, even though I met you, I think, every year for the last 4 years. He said, I was at your very first Top Live at Adepticon. Remember, it was in that little side painting room? We had it so fucking packed. There was a fire hazard. And
Fire marshal outside the room who wouldn't let anyone else in.
Yeah. And he said in that very first show, you said that you'd want one day that Top Live would be at the same place, the same big hall that they do the GW reveal events at. And he said, this year you guys did it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I never even considered that. I never thought about that. And as soon as he said it, I'm like,
I
oh,
forgot
fuck.
that.
Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, you guys this is great. I'm so glad. And he's so happy. And it's like, wow, that was awesome. I mean, it was really so much fun in many ways. Top Live is always the highlight of my Adepticon, but this year it just felt like it really felt special, and it felt like it's something that we want to continue to improve on and to grow and to have each and every one of you with us in person if you're able to attend. We'd love to do that, and maybe one day in the future we do more Top Lives at other events. So if you're not in the Midwest of North America, maybe we'll come somewhere else, but we'll make sure that you're the first to know when we pencil in any official things like that. But yeah,
Very cool. Very cool.
now I'm going to eat my sabor con chocolate.
Yeah, and I've been just eating all of them.
Yeah, dude, you're like 6 while I'm talking.
Yeah, I know he's being sentimental. I'm just eating candy over here. Welcome to the end of the podcast. Thank you so much for spending all your time with us. All of it.
Every one of your time. And Space Jam comments. You missed the Space Jam comments. We told the whole Space Jam and Armageddon story.
Yeah.
And you missed out if you're not a member
Seconds ago
of the Patreon. Our patrons get access to the after party, which is an extended version of the podcast, another 20 to 30 minutes on top of every episode that you get if you give us a couple dollar dues each month. That way you support the podcast, you say you enjoy listening to us, and you want to help us to keep making it. That's the way you can do that. You can also submit topic ideas for the podcast. You can also do other things that Scott's going to talk about right now because I forget them.
You can also pick up some merch on our Teespring store. We have hoodies, we have joggers, we have cups. You can find that linked below. And you can also, if you don't have any money to spend, you could watch our podcast on YouTube with ads enabled, either turning off your ad blocker or whitelisting our channel with your ad blocker. We play an ad every 30 minutes, and that helps get us some extra cash as well.
Or if you have YouTube Prime, just watching it gives us a little bit because YouTube gives us a couple cents on the cent.
That's true. Just fire up a top playlist, go to work, let that thing rip. All day, every single day you go to work.
Bro, could we? Okay, let's do the math on this. So you know how people had the bit farming, Bitcoin farming, where they'd build computers and they use those computers to farm Bitcoins?
Yeah, that's legal though, and a way to actually earn Bitcoin.
But
I think what you're going to describe right now is not as allowed.
what if we just have people get
farming?
Get a whole bunch of like laptop computers? And they just sign in with different accounts.
Why laptops?
It feels more portable.
Why does it need to be portable?
Because then you can put them all in the back of a van, and you can go outside the Starbucks and get their free Wi-Fi.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then you sign it in different accounts, and you have on loops. And what I'm talking about, like unscrupulous, and people have thought of this before.
I don't know, but yeah, I'm getting like Mission.
Oops.
I'm getting like Mission Impossible vibes right now. Like you got a black van, a bunch of screens, all of it's fucking tough. You know?
Yeah.
It's just parked in Starbucks.
Yeah. I feel like there's probably some kind of rules or laws against that, but
Well, I think view farming is frowned upon on YouTube.
fine. But if you just do the playlist before you go to sleep every night and have it,
Yeah,
Watch us.
that's a more acceptable version of view farming,
I mean, okay,
according to me.
according to me. According to me. Okay. Well, I think that we've checked every possible box for the post Adepticon. I got to quit swinging this bat around because I'm going to smash it into my golden demon piece.
God.
I have no one to blame but myself.
The reason I didn't look at that for as long as I normally look at your models is because I was just terrified I was going to break it. So I just wanted to put it down before anything terrible happened.
It does. It's that 2-part epoxy you told me about. Is how he's glued down there.
Yeah.
So he ain't fucking going anywhere.
Good.
But I mean, there might be some other bits that he's subassembly glued together that may pop off. But whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. You already went to the competition. You see that giant fucking plastic tub? That's
Yeah.
what I brought him in. That's what I brought him to Adepticon with because I had no idea how to take him. My regular
That
case,
works?
he's too tall.
Okay.
So I had to look like a fucking moron walking around with a hefty tub with my model in it. And if I'm going to bring him to Nova, I don't know if I'm going to because I don't know how to fucking bring him on a plane.
Just hold them in your seat the entire day.
Just hold him on my lap. Yeah, like a baby.
Little baby.
I need to get like one of those thing the Europeans do where they have like those wine boxes Where they have the sliding door in the front.
Yeah,
Because he's not super wide. He's just tall. I could like put him in that wine box.
Yeah.
Take him on the plane.
Make a little custom case.
Yeah. I got time for that.
Make a video how to make a custom case for your display models you're bringing to an event.
I should ask the Brits, because a lot of those Brits, they do that every year for each of their individual pieces or whatever they're bringing.
Okay.
They burp like that too.
I'm sure they do.
And they eat the fish and chips.
Yes.
And chips are not potato chips.
No, they're potatoes. And biscuits are not biscuits like we understand them. They're cookies.
They're cookies. They're like crappy cookies though.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with cookies and like tea time and coffee over in good old England. It's like you guys like to eat a bunch of shitty dry cookies.
That's why you have the tea, because it makes the cookies less shitty because you dunk them in the tea.
You got to sog them down.
Yeah,
Although,
but then the tea's also
hold on,
shitty. So.
Yeah, tea just sucks in general, dude. Fuck you, England. No, I'm just kidding. I love England. Well, hold on. What, didn't we have some kind of blood feud about soft versus hard cookies?
Yeah.
And what side of the fence were you on?
I'm a hard cookie nation.
So you're a goddamn redcoat.
Yeah, that's
I love
right.
those hard cookies.
Dude, ain't nothing better than a long flight in a Biscoff, motherfucker.
Biscoff is good. I will agree.
They
with that.
bang, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, if that was fucking flaccid cookies, I wouldn't eat that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat a flaccid Biscoff. Like,
right?
Put some cream between those biscuits.
Dude, yes.
Then I would eat it.
All right, let's make Biscoff Oreos a thing.
Okay.
Dude, that's $1 million idea. No one has ever thought of that, I'm sure.
No one.
What if we put like Nutella in between two Biscoffs?
I'm aroused.
We're going to go eat some adult Arby's sandwiches right now.
Look how you just jump into that.
Because I'm excited about food, and that's
What
the
makes
food
Arby's not adult?
I greatly question what that roast beef is.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So adult Arby's is healthy Arby's.
No, it's not necessarily healthy. It's just like a real animal.
Okay.
It's not like, it's like
Synthetic cow.
Arby's is the bologna of a roast beef sandwich. Like technically, it's made of meat. What meat? What percentage?
Hooves,
Yeah,
head cheese,
exactly. There's a lot of neck stretching meat in there.
neck stretching.
Yeah, there's the knuckles. Kneecaps. There's a lot of things in there that from this coming Arby's sandwich. That
I think Arby's is gonna give us a cease and desist after this.
We were there like a month ago. They'll be fine. We'll be back. Arby's.
We talked with the head of Arby's. We were like, "Look, we're gonna shit on you in the podcast. It's gonna be okay. We're giving you $10 right now."
Yeah, give me that beef and cheddar and a side of mott sticks, and let's fucking go. Okay, no, for real though, we're gonna end the podcast now. Bye.
Bye.